Hey guys, and welcome back to Bex X. Hey guys, it has been a whole week since I have posted on YouTube. I was about to say Instagram. I went away for a week. It was super nice, and I'm actually really glad that I took a week off just for rest, a creativity break, all of that. So I'm super excited to be back today, and I asked on Instagram which video I should post today because I couldn't really decide, and I felt kind of out of the swing of filming even though it's only really been like a week. But you guys picked Identity in Christ, so thank you so much for everyone who voted. It really helps me a lot when you guys interact with me on social media and here on YouTube. So we're talking about identity in Christ, and the reason I wanted to talk about this was because I kind of had a realization on holiday that I really feel like my identity now fully comes from my faith in Christ. Growing up and as a teenager, I definitely looked at my music's like genre styles, the fashion, like all of that stuff as kind of like, oh, this is my identity, like I wear this, or I do this, or I have friends in this group and that group, and la 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 la. And I never felt like I fully belonged in any of those groups, and even in church I felt like I didn't fit in any of the groups that there were. And the truth is that none of those groups were ever going to fulfill me anyway, and I was never going to truly belong, because we don't really belong on this earth. Like, it took me so long to realize that I'm not of this world. Like, this isn't my home, this isn't my final place. I live for Christ, I live to have an eternity in heaven. I live for that. I don't live for here, for this earth, for music, for money, for fashion, for just friends here. I live for something greater. And so I realized that my identity, or the way I viewed my identity, had changed, and that in my friendships now, in my family, like when I have get-togethers, I'm so much more confident because I'm not worried about trying to fit in or whether people really like me. I'm secure in who I am because Christ loves me and knows me. And so as long as I give out love and I am kind towards others, even if it's not reciprocated, it's okay. And that's a really tough journey, and I don't always feel super confident, but I have really learned to come into my own and just be secure in who I am. And some people are going to be super supportive of your faith, and some people might not be, or people might not understand it, and it's okay. And I think it's all about giving yourself grace and others grace, and just, yeah, being totally confident in who you are in Christ. And when I was looking into the video, I looked up the definition of identity, and so I've used the Cambridge Dictionary definition, and it says identity is who a person is, or the qualities of a person or group that makes them different from others. So who a person is. So your identity is who a person is, like who am I? So yeah, I'm Bex, but I am a Christian. I'm a follower of Christ, and being Bex and being a Christian are not two separate things. I think that's something I battled with growing up. Like, there's me, the Christian girl, and then there's me, like all the things I like and la 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 la. That actually, they're supposed to be one. Like, I'm a Christian and I like these things, and this is who I am. Like, I am one whole thing. And so when it says who a person is, you are a child of God. You are, you know, a believer of Christ, and that is who you are. And then all of your personality and all those other things about you stem from there because you were created by God. And so that's what your identity is, sorry. And then the second part I really like, where it says the qualities of a person or a group that makes them different from others. Like, isn't that just almost the perfect description of what it is to be a follower of Christ? That you have qualities that set you apart from everyone else. They set you apart from the world. So people who live for Christ, you want to have Christ-like qualities of love and grace and respectfulness and faithfulness and loyalty and just being honouring and godly and all of those wonderful things. And they should set you apart from people who don't live for Christ, people who are more selfish and self-centered, who would do something with a more negative and bad intention rather than good intentions. They're not faithful or loyal or honest. So it just made me realise that my identity is that I am a child of God, and then all of the facets that make up me are part of that. They're not separate, they are one. And then also my qualities set me apart. And the fact that they set me apart means that, yeah, I'm not going to fit in, and that's perfect, because if I fitted in, then I wouldn't have those qualities that are setting me apart. Like, I wouldn't have the faith that my faith in Christ wouldn't be making me a different kind of person. I would be just like everyone else, and that would be bad, because then I'm not living out the fruits of being a Christian. So yeah, it shapes your identity. And so I just thought that was super awesome, and it is hard to develop that. And I would say that for me, the more I read the word and get to know what God says about me and my identity, and that I'm not of this world, and that He's made me, and that my personality and all my quirks and all that stuff are not separate from me as a child of God. They are one. He made me with all these quirks, and it's okay. Like, that has helped me with identifying my identity in Christ. And then I would say a lot of it is just growing up and growing older and actually living out my faith over time. You know, teenage years are super rough, and it's really hard to place your identity, I think, solidly in Christ. And the more you get older and kind of leave that really turbulent time of life where you're changing so much, and you kind of become a more stable individual, and you kind of figure out who you are as in your likes, your interests, your passions in life. And as you develop in your faith, as your faith, like if you're new in your faith, the longer that you spend, you know, following Christ, I think the more that your identity in Christ grows and grows and grows, and then you start to see yourself as you, as a follower of Christ, and then all your facets, rather than kind of looking for other places to belong, because the place you belong is with Christ and just with Christ. Okay, so I want to share with you guys a bunch of verses. I have them written down on my notepad here, so I'm going to just go through them and kind of talk briefly about how they kind of talk about our identity in Christ. So the very first one I have is from Genesis 1:27, and it says, God created mankind in His own image. In the image of God He created them, male and female He created them. So it's saying right in the beginning of the book, in chapter 1, that we were created by God, and He created us in His own image. You know, He loves us so much that He created us in His own image, and He chose us, He made us male and female. And so it's amazing when we think about, what is my identity, who am I? Well, I am someone who is made from God. God chose to make me. He made me female. It's wonderful. And then the next one I have on here, these are not in any cohesive order. I just want to share with you some verses that talk about identity, and then you can delve deeper yourselves into different passages. But when I was looking into it, these are the ones that just really stood out to me that I wanted to share. So the next one is from Psalm 34 verses 18, and it says this. Oh, the lighting went super weird there, I'm so sorry. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. This one got to me because it made me realize that even in my brokenness, even in my flaws, even in the down times, He's there for me. He loves me. He wants me. And so sometimes in our identity, we only look at the good things, like, oh, when I'm doing well with my faith, then, you know, I'm loved by God and I'm a Christian. But when you're not, you then lose that identity. But in truth, in all of the brokenness, all the bad things, all the good things, in all of it, you are a child of God, and that doesn't change you. It took me a long time to realize that my identity doesn't diminish in Christ just when I'm having a hard time, or when I'm not being as faithful as I used to be, or I'm going through a tough walk or a battle or a trial. And so learning that He's there for me in my brokenness, in my crushed spirit, in all of that, and I still have my identity in Him, is huge. Okay, the next one I have is from Psalm 139, and so I've got a couple pieces. So I have 139:14, and this one's super well known. I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. This is an amazing one. It just reminds you that you are wonderfully made. He made you as your unique, beautiful self. You are exactly the way that you were intended to be. God looks down at you and loves you, and we know that full well. It is a wonderful thing that He's done by making us. And then the second part of that is verse 16 and 17, where it says, your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be. How precious to me are your thoughts, God. How vast is the sum of them. And so the first part saying, you saw me before I was even born. Like, you chose me, you wrote out all my days in a book before I even was born, like before I was even conceived. And so it's like, even if you came into the world in a way where you felt unwanted or unloved, God wanted you, God loved you. He made sure that you came into this world for a particular and perfect reason. And so even when we feel totally unwanted, and that's something that comes into identity, when we don't feel like we belong, we don't feel wanted by anyone. But we are always wanted by God. We are always wanted. He wanted us, and that's why we're here. No matter how we got here or where we're standing today, whether we're alone in the world, you're not alone because God is there for you. And then the second part is, how precious to me are your thoughts. And in my notes down here, it's your thoughts concerning me. So it's like, you think of me, like you love me, you like literally. It's amazing to think that each and every one of us, God thinks of us. He thinks about us, he loves us, he has good thoughts about us, he is always, thinking of us. It's just an amazing thought to think when I wake up in the morning, God's thought about me before I've even like said hello to him in prayer. He's thinking about me all the time. I really feel that one in my heart. The next one is also a very well-known one, so it's Jeremiah 29:11, which says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." And I love this one too because it's showing that God created us in Genesis. It tells us that we're wonderfully made. It tells us that he knew about us before we were even born, like he chose us, he wanted us to come into the world, and that he has a plan. So even when we feel like, we weren't wanted, okay, we're wanted by God. He chose me before I was even born, before I was even conceived. He made sure that I came into this world, and now I'm in this world. I'm like, what do I do? He has a plan for that too. He knows why you're here. He's put you on earth for a purpose, for a reason, and those plans are for your good. You just have to lean into them and trust God, and just lean into him, give him all your trust, run to him when there's no one else, just focus in on him, and he has a plan for you. I love that because whenever I feel disheartened and lonely and like I don't belong, I'm reminded that I belong to Christ, and that even when I don't know what's going on or I don't know why I'm here, God knows why I'm here, and he reveals that to me little by little as life goes along. Another one I really like is from Galatians chapter 4 verse 7, and it says, "So you are no longer a slave but God's child, and since you are his child, God has made you also an heir." And that one just confirms that you are a child of God, and I love that. We are accepted, we are chosen, we are loved by him, we are his children, we are his people. And then to kind of tie in with that, Ephesians 1 verses 4 and 5 says, "He chose us in him before the creation of the world to be holy and blameless in his sight. In love he predestined us for adoption to sonship through Jesus Christ in accordance with his pleasure and will." We are adopted into his family. Jesus died for us. Isn't that also so incredible? Our identity is wrapped up in that. The fact that our sin was taken, we are loved, we are shepherded, we are children. It's just amazing. I'm super happy. You can see I'm smiling away. Finding your identity in Christ is freeing, it's amazing, it's loving, and I hope that you will delve into some of these passages, and in your journey with Christ, I hope that as time goes on, you will see that who you are, the good, the bad, the ugly, the confusing, the messy, like all of you is wrapped up in a bow as a child of God. So you, a Christian, a follower of Christ. Like I am Bex, a Christian, a follower of Christ. I love music, I make videos, I can be weird, I love dogs. Like all of the things about me are all wrapped up in one. That is my identity, and it comes under Christ. And that is the be all and end all of my life. Okay, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in another one soon. Bye!